What else is happening? Djokovic, back in Australian news, Novak Djokovic, who stood up to the vaccines and said, no, I won't be taking them, has come out, just before the Australian Open, which is about to start in Melbourne, Australia, and has said that he believes he was poisoned. Why he was held in detention, a hotel detention, before he was deported from 3 years ago from the Australian Open over the visa issue. This is pretty big. Saying that, obviously I'm saying it's basically heavy metal. He had lead and high levels of lead and mercury in his system, which is clear poisoning. Well, we'll hear more about this, but that's a big bombshell right before the Australian Open. And Djokovic is, a rightful hero to many people because he had the spine to stand up to the pathetic actions of the Australian government in banning his visa. I don't live in Australia anymore, but, it's very gutless, pathetic political leadership that would have someone banned from one of the major sporting events in Australia. You used to be banned from, if you took drugs, you're not allowed to go. You're banned from sport. But now, you've obviously seen over recent years, if you don't take the drugs, the lethal injections, the COVID injections, you're not allowed to play. It's just absurd nonsense. But it turned out that he made the right decision by not being vaccinated. He's still winning tournaments, still able to play. Unfortunately, Rafael Nadal, who did take the vaccines, has had to retire already. And what part did that play in that? Well, who will know? What else is happening in the world? Twitter wars. Republican Don Bacon, congressman, has been posting some things. I did make a response to him. Jake Shields, who has been demonetized, he's quite an anti-Israel influencer, said to him, Dan Bacon kills children for $1.2 million. You will rot in hell, Don. He's referring to the $1.2 million AIPAC fund him and pretty much every US politician to fight Israel's wars we're seeing now. That's why they do it. I said to, Republican Don Bacon said, I'm saved by grace. Well, he's just another deluded Christian Zionist, no doubt. And I posted and said, you support satanic Luciferians, obviously, because the founders, I was just watching a documentary last night, actually, which you already knew, about, there's no doubt that the Rothschilds, it's not even debatable. The Rothschilds even admitted it. The Rothschilds have admitted that they founded Israel. The Balfour Declaration, Lord Rothschilds, it's all publicly available information. So the Rothschilds founded Israel in 1948, a manufactured state where they stole Palestinian land. And there was a deal done, to start moving people there since 1933 with Hitler, the Rothschilds, because Hitler was fed up with the Rothschilds trying to destroy and the Jews trying to destroy Germany, and he didn't send them to concentration camps. He actually had an agreement to send them safe passage with their wealth intact to Palestine. So there's some uncomfortable facts for the Jewish lobby or the Israel lobby. So this is the satanic Luciferians, I said, because the Rothschilds are known to be from Khazaria, eastern Ukraine, and they are satanic Luciferians. They're not good Christians. They're not Christians at all. And I said, name one godly thing about Israel's actions. You explain to God why you support their lies and mass murder and take their money to sell out your nation. It's a fair enough question. Republican Don Bacon responds, Israel is the only democracy in the Middle East, and they're taking down terrorists who hate us as well. Well, this is the common argument put out there by Zionists. I said, Israel lied to you and all the Americans and Westerners, including Australians, who created and funded Hamas up to 2012 and begged Qatar to fund them ever since, including shuffling $1.4 million in US dollars to Hamas via Qatar to achieve Israel's political objectives. Who created ISIS and Al-Qaeda? Israel create or fund Islamic terror groups, place them on their target nation, the Greater Israel Project target nations, i.e. the ones Wesley Clark, General Wesley Clark said straight after September 11th. The Pentagon told him Israel did, he didn't say Israel did September 11th. Israel did September 11th and framed Arabs. And Wesley Clark said, he was told, the Pentagon told him we're going to invade 7 countries in 5 years. He said, what, 7 countries in 5 years? What do you mean? Now, this was planned before September 11th, We just need another Pearl Harbor type event to get the American public to support our agenda. That was said by Richard Pearl, I believe, by the neocons, the Jewish lobby, that control, the Israeli lobby, said the neocons in the Bush administration who answered to guess who? Israel. It's not in dispute that Israel has controlled U.S. foreign policy for decades. Even Jeffrey Sachs, a Jewish, highlights that very clearly. So I went on to say these Israel-funded and coordinated terror groups destabilize a nation. Think Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, Syria, Lebanon, Palestine, and so on. This makes the target nation government lose control. Think Syria, which Israel were behind destroying. Israel then says we are fighting Islamic terrorists, which is a cover to fool dumb down and lie to Westerners too scared of ISIS and support us, and for Israel to actually invade the target nation. As it needs to rape and pillage, and the question is, it's a fraud and deadly calculated fraud. Why do they fund U.S. politicians, including yourself, Senator, Congressman Republican Don Bacon, as it needs to rape and pillage American taxpayers to fight its wars, a war on terror that they created to cover for their pre-planned invasions? Why did we invade Iraq again? Yes, that's right, because Netanyahu lied to Congress. Where are those weapons of mass destruction? They never existed. We knew they never existed. Scott Ritter even wrote a book. He was a UN weapons inspector and said they weren't there. They had nothing to do with September 11th as well, Iraq, as Israel did, and didn't have a terrorist problem until Israel put the terrorists, created ISIS and put them there. American politicians must awaken to this scam by Israel and go down supporting such satanic evil that Israel is. They are not God's chosen ones, but fake imposters. The Australian National Review offers a $1 million challenge to anyone who wishes to prove this not the case. So, yeah, some Twitter wars there. Congressman Republican Don Bacon, not happy with what Jake Shields and myself have to say. But hey, if the truth is uncomfortable, it's not our problem. The truth is the truth. We're just sharing it, So the big question we heard from Lily in the previous episode, American commentator, the question is what's going to happen in 2025? As I said, will Trump own Israel's ass, or does Israel own Trump's ass? His administration is coming into place. It's clearly a very Zionist administration. Do we just want to boot out the globalist cabal, the leftists, the nutters, the woke, the WF, etc., and then have it replaced with the Zionist cabal, the right faction that they hate each other? So we go from one cabal to the other. I don't think that's what the freedom movement wants. I don't think that's what the people want. They want independence, true independence. And that's why I propose the BRICS might be the solution, led by Russia, the BRIC nations. Russia is a Christian Orthodox nation, traditional values, has every right to defend itself against the globalist cabal that's tried to weaken it by using Ukraine and arming Ukraine to attack Russia. And Russia's winning that war. Actually, Russia's making massive progress right now, and Joe Biden, his last days, are sending more and more money to Ukraine and Israel to murder more people. And, over 1 million Ukrainian soldiers are believed to have died in that war. Completely unnecessary. But why? Because the Rothschilds, who still control Israel, created Israel, founded it, control it to this day, the Zionist cabal, and the globalist cabal, we believe they fund both sides, the right and left. And quickly now, the left's moving to get control of the Trump administration. Let's see what happens. But that post by Donald Trump, well done for highlighting what Jeffrey Sachs has been saying, who Tucker Carlson had on, and Candace Owens has had on, is Trump. Clearly, Trump knows Netanyahu is part of the problem. Is he able to deal with that problem? Well, let's see. It wouldn't be that difficult to cause Israel problems. Just cut off their military aid and sanction them. They're going to create enough problems and the enemies around them that Israel will end up imploding and destroying itself. That's probably why the move by the globalists to try and take Ukraine, eastern Ukraine, to make it Israel too, because they know there's a fair chance Israel may fall. But the Zionists, the globalists wanted war with, started the war in Ukraine. The Zionists want war with Iran, but I think Iran's made it pretty clear they're not scared of Israel, and will and can cause great difficulty for Israel. They're not Hamas sending fireworks, rocket grenades into the air, which are pretty harmless in comparison to actual missiles. I mean, Israel is bombing missiles into Gaza, murdering people, defense of civilians. It's pathetic. It doesn't matter if you're Christian, what side of politics you stand on. If you support that, then I think you have a problem. The left was fooled to stand with Ukraine, and the right's fooled to stand with Israel. Don't fall for any of it. What's wrong with being a centrist, being in the middle, going, hey, it's wrong to bomb and kill innocent civilians in Gaza based on lies about October 7th, which was clearly coordinated by Israel. Hamas is funded by Israel, created by Israel, just like ISIS is. And now all these terror attacks you see around the world. Who's behind most terror attacks? Of course, we know that is Mossad. And which leads me up to Port Arthur massacre. I posted this week about that on Twitter. You follow Jamie McIntyre 21, you can see that. I said, case in point, investigations we started recently, Australian National Review, into who was behind the Bali bombings. We thought, I just wonder if Mossad's who's behind, the prime suspect who's behind most Islamic terror attacks around the world, could actually had something to do with the Bali bombings back in 2002. And guess what we found? Is that we found the evidence linking Mossad. Not only that, the coordinator of the Bali bombings, Mossad coordinator, happened to be the same coordinator of the Port Arthur massacre in Australia. I believe that was late 80s. Port Arthur massacre, which we've long known was clearly not done by a deaf, not a deaf, but a dumb mute in Patsy in Martin Bryant, impossible kill to shoot ratio. It was a coordinated professional attack generally, and we believed it to be Mossad. The evidence come out has been out for some time. It was Mossad, but that was linked to the Bali bombings. Of course, they've been behind the London bombing, bus bombings, Oklahoma bombings, the massacres in Church Christ, Dunblane, Scotland, etc., etc. They're behind most of these. So they try and make out Muslims are the problem in the world, yet in Indonesia, Muslims are incredibly the largest Muslim population on the planet, one of the most peaceful and safest nations on the planet. And it turns out the only terrorist attack or significant one, turns out it was funded and coordinated by not Islamic terrorists, but by Mossad, who actually hire and recruit Islamic terrorists to do these acts. So people need to figure that out, and they won't fall for such nonsense.